What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Man Bites Film, episode 99.
Take two.
As always, I'm your host, Branden. Joining me is the man that forgot to press record just a second ago, Lewis.
Yeah, it's been that kind of day.
And the man that just got a new laptop, William.
Oh, no, it's not a new laptop. It's an older
Whatever.
laptop.
In my eyes, it's
I
a
got lucky and it still works. So I got this laptop before I left Florida.
Florida. I love
Florida.
how people that like white people, they say Florida.
I'm sorry, Florida. Is that better?
No, I've always said, I said, Florida. People are like Florida.
Florida.
So as always, if you are joining us, we are a weekly movie podcast where we talk about movie news. Sometimes we have the movie. Oh my God! I see your lovely gross face.
Aww.
We debate if these movies from the aliens should be on this list.
The aliens.
A main review. We do Spiel binge, and then at the end we do our 3 individual reviews. So, William, take it away, bud. What have the not aliens bestowed upon us this week?
I'm hoping that we haven't done this before.
Oh, boy.
I like to preface. I like to start with that just in case we have.
Preface?
Preface.
Preface.
I preface like I do with Florida.
And then you talk about my grammar. What the fuck?
And we have lit the dumpster fire. Given the fact that we are coming up on the anniversary of the event that spurred this movie, we are 9 days away. Yes.
Oh my God! Are you? Wait, no, I can't be the movie I'm thinking about. Continue.
No, what are you thinking about?
No, I thought it was for some odd reason because I know Easter's coming.
Yeah.
So I thought it was the Passion of
Christ.
The Passion of the Christ, and I'm like, no, but it's not because it's Easter's this Sunday, right? Coming up.
Yes.
Is it?
And it really wouldn't be like a anniversary. Like, do we really call it anniversary?
No, but yeah, I know. I just
Christ.
That's the only thing that kind of came to mind.
And technically, we really don't know when.
True.
So this is just a random holiday that they chose, or
stole,
copying the pagan holidays.
Esther. Anyway, if you know, you know.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about a multi-Academy Award-winning movie.
Okay.
I think it came out. Let's see, it would be like 20. Oh, Jesus Christ, 23 years ago now.
Oh, Saving Private Ryan.
No.
Oh.
No. D-Day's in June, dude. Like, we're not even close to that.
I thought you said 2 months.
No, I said no. What? No, I
said
in like
9
2
days.
weeks. I said 2 weeks. How do you got months from weeks?
None of us got right.
You have a year infection. Jesus.
Infection?
Infection. Yes. Do you not watch Mallrats? Jesus.
Okay, continue.
Hey, this section is like sinking faster than the Titanic. I swear to God. Speaking of Titanic, that's the movie we're going with this week.
Okay. Oh, that was in April. Yeah, that was April
15th,
right?
Not April 1st.
April 15th. Can you imagine if that would have been on April 1st?
I honestly think that was the first.
Seriously.
I think Titanic was the first pair of titties I ever saw in my life.
I mean, if you're going to be the first pair of titties and it's roses, you can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, I was 6 years. I was 6 years old when the movie came out.
Oh, Jesus Christ! I was in college.
Yeah,
I was in middle school.
I remember my parents taking me to a local theater by the name of Palace 18.
Oh my God, Palace! Wow,
and
that's a Miami throwback.
Mind you, I was 6 years old. I might have blown it out of proportion, but I remember the lines being very long.
Movie was
like Titanic was like the end game of 1997, 1998.
Yeah,
well, I mean, it held the record for what, 11 years?
12 technically, because Avatar came out in 2009.
Yeah. So the only thing that broke the record was another James Cameron movie. So it's like, dude, that's how great of a movie this was. I think this is one of those like movies that actually are a proper. It was one of the few movies that I could actually say, yes, this deserves to get the highest grossing film of all time.
Do we know what movie it dethroned as like longest standing movie?
That's a good question.
Or highest grossing movie?
I have no idea.
I think it was Gone with the Wind, was it?
No.
Well, Gone with the Wind
technically
is still number one if you adjust it for inflation.
That's domestic.
For inflation, yeah.
That's domestic, and that's not including foreign. Yeah. So if that's the case, then that will forever hold the record. Forever.
But yeah, Titanic. Titanic's weird because I look at it as like two movies. Like the beginning is like a love story between the two of them. And then, the later half of the movie is just a disaster of the ship sinking and all this stuff. I like Titanic a lot. I haven't seen it in a while, but I always enjoy it when I do see it. I don't know if you guys feel the same.
I fast forward to the parts that I like.
I love watching the whole thing, but that's just. I think it's one of those. This is a movie that definitely deserves to be on the bucket list. This is probably top 25, I would say.
And dude, honestly, like looking back, for it being 1997, the effects are pretty damn good.
Oh hell yeah! Because most of them were practical.
Yes, I know. Dude,
it surpassed Jurassic Park.
Was it Jurassic Park?
Jurassic Park was number one. That's
Jurassic
interesting.
Park was number one at 914 million at the time.
Interesting. Yeah. Dude, there's like parts of. I don't know why they've always stuck with me. I
love the chef. I love the chef that's about to jump and the one that gets up on the railing at the very end.
Yes, and
oh, dude, and that's actually based on a true story. There's a fun fact about this that there's a whole conspiracy theory about the fact that Titanic actually sunk, and it wasn't the actual Titanic. It was one of the sister ships.
Dun dun dun.
And because all three of the ships, I think it was. Oh god damn it! I can't. The names escape me. All three of them are exactly the same. They were exactly the exact same thing. The only thing that was different was that they enclosed one of the levels, and they just it is a phenomenal like conspiracy theory behind it. The fact that also a lot of the stuff, this wasn't technically a new ship. A lot of the parts and pieces were actually from previous ships, and they put them together. So that could also be one of the reasons why. And the conspiracy that this is another ship is mostly in part because the collision that actually occurred with the iceberg is in a very similar spot of one of the sister ships that sustained damage in that same exact spot. So they don't know if it was one of the sister ships and not Titanic itself.
Welcome to our conspiracy theorist podcast. I'm your host.
And these dumb motherfuckers want to do another Titanic 2 doing the same route like in a year or two.
No,
smart.
I don't know why it's always stuck with me is the part when she's whistling in the water and the guy the guy that has the flashlight, he's like, turn about, and they stop.
Yeah, that's the part that I played in middle school.
Yeah, I remember that. I do remember that. But just the way he says it, and like they stop and turn around and she's just there like whistling, so that they can save her. It's very impactful. But let's talk about Kate Winslet and my man Leo DiCaprio.
They became the icons. Like they are the Hollywood relationship. That was like one of the most iconic of our era. I think it's our generation's couple, basically. Like we will forever look at both of them as a couple because that.
Yes, I could totally see like if tomorrow or like sometime in the future they were like, oh, we were together, I would have been like, oh yeah, I could totally see that. Yeah. Totally. Also,
like another one big movie that I think this one, Eating Gilbert Grapes was probably the first one, but this was like the definite movie that DiCaprio got snubbed for an Academy Award.
Oh hell yeah. Hell yeah!
How about Romeo and Juliet?
Oh, fuck that movie.
It was good, but I don't think that it was like he did a good job for not. I don't believe that DiCaprio is classically trained as far as like theater and Shakespeare go. So he did the best that he could with the knowledge, and I'm sure that he did his homework. But if you don't have that kind of training, it's hard to do Shakespeare, let alone when you're doing Shakespeare in a modern era.
Isn't this the same Shakespeare that was like Michael Bay gone an extra step further?
What?
Well, it's set in modern day. It's just with Old English.
Is it with Old English? I don't remember that.
It's Old English. It's basically
all I remember is guns and like and all this shit that it looked like a fucking Michael Bay movie, and I was like, nope.
Yeah, like at one point, I think it's Mercutio, right? That's the character's name.
Mercutio, but close.
Mercutio, thank you.
Mercutio.
He's like, I'm gonna grab my straight sword, something along those lines, and he picks up like a fucking gun.
Yeah, because they modernized it, so obviously, like back in Romeo and Juliet times, they had actual swords and daggers and whatnot. So to modernize it, the guns all have names.
Don't be an asshole.
If you look at it, like Romeo's gun has the name dagger on it.
Yeah,
and that's why Mercutio's gun has the name sword on it. Not names that you really would give guns, but I guess that's the best they could do to try and.
That's besides the point. Back to
please.
To Titanic.
Let's go back to that because I don't want to go over fucking Moulin Rouge of the 90s. Fuck that.
John Leguizamo does a good Mercutio, though. I will give him that. Like he was very decent, especially because he doesn't have that. But
But not only them two. Who else is in Titanic? What's this guy's name? The guy
Bates is in it.
What's the guy that plays her husband or her fiance? The asshole, the abusive. Something Zane.
Billy Zane.
Billy Zane, thank you. Billy Zane.
Billy Zane is in it. Bill Paxton is in it.
Yeah, of course. Oh my god! And Bill Paxton's role is fucking phenomenal in this, by the way.
Kathy Bates, Francis Fisher,
Bernard Hill,
Victor Garber is in it.
There's a lot of people.
Danny Nucci. Where do I know Danny Nucci from?
Is he the Italian friend?
Yeah, he's the Italian friend that dies at the end. Sorry, spoiler alert. His friend dies.
Eraser. Probably from Eraser or god damn it, the snow movie. The fucking
Alive.
Snow movie. Yeah, there you go.
But no, I think Alive and Crimson Tide is probably where
I'll never forget that scene when the guy shoots their friend by accident because they push him forward. And he's like, bastardo! And he's just like holding him there on the fucking boat.
The Rock. That's where I know him from. He plays one of the SWAT teams.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
He doesn't have a big part, but he has like his small part stands out because he's the last of the SWAT people to die.
And
Kathy Bates. Oh my god, Kathy Bates is fucking phenomenal in this.
Molly Brown.
I really like Titanic. Like all the characters are cool. There's memorable scenes. It's a tearjerker, man. That's a movie that will pull your heartstrings.
It made me tear up the first time I watched it. After that, I'm done.
Specifically at the end, like when they do the montage of like the people in third class that are just like
it's the soundtrack that made
that's the soundtrack
just really got to me, and that's where I started really crying when they start playing. Yeah. Like music really gets to me, and
me too.
And like had they played like some kind of like rock song, it wouldn't have had the same effect.
No, for sure.
Just like the right amount of music, and oh my god, I was done.
And do you remember like when you watched this in theaters that there was like an intermission in the middle of the film?
Is there? I didn't remember that.
There was an intermission.
Well, there wasn't when I went to see it.
Really? Yeah. I remember specifically that there was an intermission. It was like a 10-minute intermission, but it was still something to go in between because I think this was like one of the longest films up to that point.
Dude, the movie's like 3.5 hours. It's
like
not that bad.
Yeah, it's not that long.
Well, now standards, because now we have like freaking... I think Lord of the Rings kind of made it a normal thing. But before that, I mean, we really didn't have 3-hour-long epics in the theater, so it was kind of odd. But I remember that break in the middle, and also when the VHS came out, it was a 2-tape VHS.
Yep.
God, I would I'm not gonna get into that.
I mean, before Titanic, The Deer Hunter in '78 was over 3 hours. Lawrence of Arabia was over 3 hours.
Yeah, but you're talking about a movie that broke the records.
Schindler's List.
Before the days of the internet, bro, I would rewind, man, just to see those boobies.
Oh my god!
Into the mind of Branden.
He put it on pause and just be like, oh.
That's why you got the Scramble channel, bro. Come on, man.
Nah, I didn't have that at my house. Also, speaking of the soundtrack, what's this Canadian woman's name?
Celine Dion.
Celine Dion, thank you. I knew she was popular, but I felt like this would completely just fucking just blew her up.
Oh, dude, she was popular before this.
Oh, I know she was, but I felt like with the theme song of the movie,
I think she got pushed into the mainstream after this movie. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I think she's already mainstream, but I mean, like,
I agree. But
she was also. She's Canadian, but she was huge in Europe before I moved here. So, like, to me,
but she wasn't huge here.
She wasn't huge here.
She was huge in foreign countries, basically, because in like our culture, like growing up in Miami, I mean, we're not really part of the U.S. technically.
I'll say it. Celine Dion had some bangers in the '80s, but that's just my opinion.
Hell yeah, she did. But all right, so I want to ask you guys:
Power of Love. I mean, come on.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. What is your favorite James Cameron movie?
The Abyss.
Oh, hang on a second. I want to make sure that everybody gets their, because there's always movies that I forget that James Cameron's did, and I don't want to like jump on one. And
because let me tell you,
like right off the bat, I would probably say Terminator 2.
So you did T1, T2, Abyss.
Terminator, Avatar, Aliens,
which is my favorite. My favorite is Aliens.
See, I forget. True Lies was one of his movies.
I'm surprised you picked Aliens. I thought you would have picked The Abyss because I know you love that.
The Abyss is a close, but that's the thing though. Like James Cameron is. Oh boy, this is gonna get a couple people riled up.
See, I didn't know that Rambo: First Blood Part 2 was James Cameron.
Yeah,
really?
Yeah.
Oh my god, okay.
Yeah.
He was produced. Solaris. It wasn't directed by him. That was produced by him.
Okay.
That wasn't directed by him. But also like James Cameron has the most movies besides Kubrick in my top 50 of all time. Because I have Avatar, believe it or not, I consider that in my top 50. Titanic, Terminator 2, The Abyss, Aliens, and Terminator 1. Those are all in my top 50. And that's like 70% of his collection.
Yeah. Yeah, I would definitely go with The Abyss. I think The Abyss is a phenomenal movie.
I really like The Abyss. I would say it's tied for second with True Lies. I really love True Lies. But to me, T2 will probably be number one movie for James Cameron.
Okay.
Nice.
All right. So... we all unanimously agree that I think Titanic should be
top 20.
Top 20. Whew. Lewis, what'd you say again?
25.
Come on, put it back in the 80s and 90s because you know you want to.
No. I definitely I think it deserves to be in the top 20 or 25. I'm gonna go with exactly 21, and I don't know why. I'm just gonna put it at 21.
Okay. Sweet. Yeah. That is awesome.
Yeah, I think Titanic is a phenomenal movie.
Banger.
Which, if you haven't seen it, if you're listening and haven't not seen Titanic, you're living under a rock. But also, I guess you're going to have to rent the movie because I don't think it's streaming on
No, it's not streaming anywhere. But, dude, I think everybody owns this in one form or another.
I have it in VHS.
Exactly.
I do too, yep. All right, so stay tuned after this quick break when we come at you live with the main segment of our show, the main review, William's pick, Return to Oz.
It was a good pick.
Welcome to an exploration of sight and mind, a travel through the world of films and the artists that bring you these masterpieces. Do you love films, directors, actors, cinematographers, editors, composers, or any of the hundreds of artists that bring you these feats of art? I am Nicol Lacau, your host into the world of films, your guide to Man Bites Retro.
All right, guys, welcome back for the main segment of our show. The main review, William's pick, Return to Oz, which is streaming on Disney+.
Yes, it is.
I've never seen this movie before.
What?
All right, then why don't you start? Lead us. Because I always like to hear people that have never seen this movie, what they think of this movie.
All right.
Because they fucking ruined my childhood.
It's dark. So I watched it yesterday with my girlfriend during lunch, and we were both like, how is this a kid's movie? Specifically the beginning.
I fucking love it.
So Return to Oz is a sequel to The Wizard of Oz, the 1939 musical. And basically it's about Dorothy, who weirdly enough looks way younger in this movie than she did in The Wizard of Oz. It's just really weird to me.
Well, yeah, because it's not a fucking 20-year-old playing.
I'm not the only one that noticed it.
Yeah. I just don't understand why they just didn't get somebody a little bit older, but whatever.
I think Fairuza Balk blew it out of the fucking water.
Dude, it took me a hot minute to realize that was Fairuza Balk, and I was like, dude, this person looks so familiar.
You can see it in her mouth.
Yeah.
She has that fucking, what's her name?
That smile. Yeah. So Return to Oz is basically, I don't think they ever say how long it's been since the first movie. But,
6 months. 8 months.
I think it's
8 months.
Yeah.
8 months,
right
okay.
after.
It's like at the beginning when her aunt's talking to her uncle, and she finds like the key, and she's like, "Oh my god, it's been like 8 months," and she's still having like dreams or whatever. So it's not that far,
Yeah.
After.
So, as William was saying, it's been 8 months, and she cannot shut up about the wonderful world of Oz to her aunt and uncle, and they think she is batshit crazy. And it is the year 1898. So what do? They bring her to a doctor that's going to do electroshock therapy on her. Jesus Christ.
It is so creepy how the doctor introduces the electroshock therapy.
Dude, he's like the mouth and the eyes. I'm like, dude.
Yeah,
but I mean, you can't blame the guy for trying, because mind you, this is science at that point that's actually taking over. It's industry. You're talking about the turn of the century where industry was becoming the new norm. And this was the first time that something in technology actually turned into the medical field. So they honestly thought that this worked. So a lot of people think that it's very dark because of what actually happened and that it's torturous. We know that it's torture now, but we didn't know back then. And ironically enough, this is not in the book. This was actually done by Disney as their way to transition into Oz, which makes no fucking sense to me. It's like, what?
Yeah, it's very dark. So she is left there by her aunt and then escapes with this young girl that basically gets her out, and she wakes up in Oz.
Yes.
And basically everything has gone to shit. Basically, the Emerald City has been taken over. The Scarecrow has been taken away, has been kidnapped, and then you get introduced to probably the creepiest fucking characters in this movie, the Wheelers.
How are they creepy?
They are fucking creepy, dude.
If you're like a 6-year-old kid,
dude, fuck off that they're not creepy.
I was not creeped out by that.
Dude,
I was more creeped out by Mombi than fucking the Wheelers.
I am 28 years old, and their cackle and like how weird they look, dude. It got. I was like, yo, what is this fucking movie, dude? And then it goes from there, and she meets the cast of characters. We got Tik-Tok, we got Jack, and then we got what's the fucking moose head? Gulp.
The Gump.
Thank you. My favorite was Tik-Tok.
Mine too. Well,
I like Tik-Tok.
I personally love the Pumpkinhead. What's his face?
Jack.
Yeah.
Which actually, there is a recording with. I actually went back and looked for it. There is a recording of Tim Burton stating that he was a huge fan of the books. And that's why Jack Skellington is Jack Skellington, and also the Patch Girl from Wizard of Oz books is actually Sally.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of like little homages played by Burton, and he openly admits that he was,
I will say this: was not a huge fan of the movie, but
what
the the set design and the practical effects were pretty good. My favorite scene in the movie is when they actually come into Mombi's throne room, I guess you could call it, and she's playing the mandolin. And her fucking like costume, I was like, yo, this looks sick.
Dude, it reminded me of something out of The Cell.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I was like, yo, this looks sick. And then she proceeds to take her head off, and I was just like, dude, the entire movie, I'm thinking to myself, which I don't remember, it's been a while since I've seen the original Wizard of Oz. Is Dorothy just crazy? Like, no. But the thing is, like,
not in the books.
Mombi is the nurse.
Yes.
The doctor is the Nome King. One of the orderlies is the wheeler that gets his hat taken off.
Again, this is also the movies. The books are completely different, and it's.
So is Disney just trying to say that Dorothy is crazy? That this is all in her imagination, or not that she's crazy, but she's imagining all of it?
I think it's her way of coping with a bad situation.
Yeah, I think it's imagination more than she's crazy, because, like, at the end, the people that were calling her crazy and they were trying to get her, her to stop dreaming, are the bad guys, and, like, the nurse gets arrested. You see her, like, in the and the doctor dies. Which kind of, like, I guess, like, the message is never stop dreaming no matter what people tell you.
Yeah.
I think it's a good message.
Technically, even in the books, like, I don't know if you guys have ever read the books.
I have not.
No.
I read the books back in the day, and they're very fucking dark. They're really dark, and they were, like, pure social satire. These were talking about the Industrial Revolution and how the Industrial Revolution is going to create a class system, and that's why there's the Tin Man, the Scarecrow, and the Lion. They're representations of the three different classes, and that's where all these parallels are drawn, and that's why you have Tik-Tok again, you have Jack Pumpkin, and the Gump, which it's the exact same. Dynamic. It's the exact.
We forgot about
dynamic. Bellina, which is the old hen.
Chicken.
Yeah. The old hen.
The old hen. Yeah.
Which it's everybody's consciousness. It's everybody's mother. It's everybody's grandmother picking at us and telling us that we have to go back and we have to be cautious. And
I don't
there's a lot of symbolism in this movie.
I just didn't particularly care for it. I like the practical effects and I like the set design. And that's to say that I'm not really a big fan of the original either. So,
but all right, are you a fan of Labyrinth?
Yes,
because I personally like Labyrinth better, but I put this on par with Labyrinth. It came out the same year. It's Jim Henson Company. It's all the different.
One of the actresses is in Labyrinth.
Not one. There's 6 different actors that cross over into this. Yeah,
but also Labyrinth has like musical numbers and shit like that. Like. Yeah. I don't know. It's a different kind of feel of a movie. I just feel like this movie tries to be too dark at moments, and it's like, for me, it just takes it away. One of my other also favorite things, practical effects wise, is before we're introduced to the Nome King, we get that like face on the wall.
Oh, dude!
And the way it like moves and shit, I'm like, yo, this looks really good for '85.
Yeah,
well, that's all stop motion. That thing is beautiful.
Yeah. Dude, I was like, wow, this looks
Nome
incredible.
King dies also is another thing that gave me nightmares when I was a kid.
It kind of gave me vibes of going back to last week's episode of Raiders of the Lost Ark when he blows up at the end.
Yeah.
It kind of looks like that with the fire in the back. And
it's funny because like you see the Doctor and you see the Nome King in this movie, but he's also the same guy that is in Spawn. He plays Cagliostro in Spawn, which is like the older guy that like teaches him how to use his cape.
Oh, okay.
Which it's like I don't know, like he's by relation, not relative. He's so much younger in this movie than in the other movies, other than in Spawn.
Yeah,
but I don't know. Like as you were saying about like how it tries to be bad and tries to be dark in this movie. It's funny because like I think of it now that you look back, it's kind of like The Wizard of Oz and Return to Oz was the preemptive strike to Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure and Bill and Ted's
Bogus Journey.
Bogus Journey. The first one is all uppity and it's fun, and you still have like the antagonist and the bad guy. And the second one's just like nightmare. And this is kind of like, the first one may have been a dream, and she was in dreamland and loving it. And this was just like, sometimes your dreams are nightmares, but if you fight through them and you fight your insecurities, you can, beat your nightmares and you come out of it.
I love just the different nuances that the actors contribute and each one bring. I think Brian Henson is one of the big contributions, and that's why I like Pumpkinhead so much, Jack Pumpkinhead so much, is because, first of all, it took me a minute to recognize his voice and then realize that that's Hoggle from The Labyrinth. But then once I did, I was like, oh my God, yes! And then I looked at the name and I was like, oh, I didn't know this was him. Oh, shit.
Yeah.
And it's just, it adds so much layers to this. And I honestly, I'm so fucking happy that this was the movie that we watched, because I hadn't seen this since I was like 5.
So sorry to interrupt you. I'm looking at the cast, and Jean Marsh plays the Wicked Witch of the West / Nurse Wilson. So is Princess Bombi the Wicked Witch of the West?
I think so.
What do you mean?
Okay, I'm looking at the cast of Return to Oz, and it's like Fairuza Balk is Dorothy Gale, okay?
And
this
Nurse Wilson and Mombi.
Jean Marsh.
Yeah.
The Wicked Witch of the West, Nurse Wilson.
I don't see any Wicked Witch of the West. She just played Mombi and Nurse.
That's weird. Why the hell does Google say Wicked Witch of the West?
What does IMDb say? Are you on?
I'm on IMDb right now, and it's not saying
maybe they made a mistake. I know she played Princess Mombi, but
yeah, she was the main actress in that played Mombi.
Yeah, not the first girl. Not the first girl. Yeah, not the first girl. It's the much older one.
The proper one, the proper head one.
But like, I don't know, it was cool. Like, and then the scenes when like they get power, quote unquote, back to the Emerald City and stuff. It's really cool. But
I just think it's such a like. This is one of those movies that I watched it when I was a kid. It was kind of like it played the same thing as Willow for me. That it's kind of like, oh, okay, move on. And I guess it got overshadowed by movies like Labyrinth for me, that I loved so much and connected with so much more, that it completely got overshadowed. But watching this again, I was blown the fuck away by how good it was. I was like, oh my God, I want to watch this again now. It's that fucking good. And I honestly, William, that this has been the best pick you've ever given us.
Wow.
In my opinion.
Wow.
Quite honestly, I'm not going to lie. I put it up against the movie that I kind of figured was going to lose, because I wanted for us to watch this movie, because I mean, we haven't seen it in a while, but just, I don't know. I wanted an excuse to watch it again as an adult, because I watch it every so often. And I mean, there's still some scenes where I'm like, obviously like the Wheelers represent like the beds, because you hear like it's the same exact noise that's going.
My girlfriend said a good thing. She's like, the Wheelers are the new flying monkeys.
Oh, yeah.
They are.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, that's true. That's very true.
Actually, fun fact. This came out on June 21st, 1985.
Oh, my God.
That is literally my birthday. Like, that was the year and date that I was born.
There you go, bro. 2 horrible things came out on the same day.
2 terrifying things,
2
right?
fucking terrifying things came out on the same day. So what do you guys give it then? What are your ratings of Return to Oz?
Probably like a good 8.5 out of 10. Like
Brandon?
I said, like as much as it ruined my childhood, it was it's a classic at this point. It's like on the darker side of the Disney classic, but it's a classic nonetheless, and it's enjoyable. Don't watch it with your young kids.
Come on, yes them. They can.
No. If I can avoid under 6-year-olds like getting nightmares after this movie.
Naomi's kids love this movie.
Well, Naomi's dating you, so they're used to being around scary shit. So yeah, whatever. But yeah,
I give it a 6.5, 7. I wasn't completely into it. I did like I said, the practical effects and the set design was really cool. I felt like towards the end I was kind of like looking at the clock, like, can you please end already? But that was just me. I didn't grow up with this movie, so maybe for you guys, of course, it's going to be a bit different.
I didn't grow up watching this movie, but I came back, and I remember watching this as a kid, and honestly, my impressions and my memory of it when this was given to us to review initially, I was like, all right, I would probably put this in the 5-6 range originally. Watching this again and just going into the story and being completely blown away. This is why I love movies. Is movies like this that just completely enthrall you into a world, and you fall into this fantasy world, and this fantasy element just takes over your life for those 2 hours that you're watching it. This is a 9.5 out of 10 for me. I fucking love this movie.
Jesus.
I really like when I sent you guys that I want to cosplay this, I actually fucking meant it. I want to cosplay those characters.
Do you want me to be Dorothy?
Yeah. Oh, I think that would be hilarious. And William as Tik-Tok, that would be just brilliant.
Hell no, I am not walking around with that much bronze around me.
All right, guys. So stay tuned at this quick break. And
if I had the coordination, I would be the Wheelers, but I don't. So,
God, I don't even know how they did that. That shit's too crazy. All right, stay tuned. That's a quick break when we come at you with our new segment, Spill Binge. Spill Binge. All right, guys, welcome back for our new segment, Spill Binge. This is where our lovely guest Zach every week brings us one Steven Spielberg movie until we finish his whole filmography. So, Zach, what movie are you bringing for us today?
E.T. the Extraterrestrial.
Yep. Sorry.
Yep, right there with you. Yes, the inspiration for the classic Atari game, E.T. the Extraterrestrial.
Oh, dude, that was a hell of a banger of a game right there. The Atari one.
Fun fact about that game. Did you know that the game did so bad that they pulled every copy off the shelf and buried it in a desert?
Yep.
Spielberg still has 2 copies of the game, by the way.
I wonder how much they go for now.
Oh, I have one.
They're expensive.
Yeah.
Really?
Are you serious?
Yeah, I got it at a con a couple years ago.
How much
That's
you pay for
cool.
it?
Like 15, maybe 20.
That's not bad.
Anyway, E.T.
Anyway.
E.T. the actually good movie.
Solve that mystery.
Sorry, took us down a road there. But no, E.T., if you have not seen it, it tells the story of a lost alien and his friendship with a small boy and his brother and their family. And it's great. It's great.
Oh. I thought you died there. I was like,
No,
it got like that awkward silence when like I somehow without moving make a noise and everybody's like, "What's that?" And I'm like, "Crap, what do I do now?"
Yeah, I picked an interesting inflection. But no, this is another classic, iconic film from Spielberg. I mean, how many Amblin-produced movies do you see the shot of them crossing above the full moon? Like this has become part of our visual language. It's a classic.
Yep.
It is really iconic as hell. And it really is. I was scrolling through IMDb and I looked at the picture for the director of photography. Dude, the man looks like a dwarf. He looks like one of the dwarfs from from The Hobbit.
Yo, he looks like Robin Williams when he came out of Jumanji.
Yeah.
But at the age of what's the Game of Thrones guy?
Asshole.
Oh my God, what the hell is his name?
And his name is Alan too.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that.
Oh, good. Good.
I'm sorry, that's just really random, and I could not help but bring that up because that was just brilliant. So yeah, Zach, give us the boilerplate of this.
Yeah. What comes to mind? When you think of E.T.?
Oh God, I mean,
shriveled penis.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's not it for me. No, there's so many shots that are synonymous with this movie. So many iconic images. Not to mention another incredible score from John Williams.
Oh hell yeah!
What really struck me on this watch of this movie was, since the protagonists are a little kid and a mostly nonverbal alien, a lot of the story is told visually as opposed to through dialogue. I mean, there certainly is dialogue, and it's very good, but it's a predominantly visually told movie. So you're mostly watching these brilliantly composed shots telling you the story set to an incredible orchestra from John Williams. Like, it's the music is really powerful and complements the imagery so well in this movie.
I've always liked the noises that he makes. Weird noises that E.T. makes.
Yo,
dude, this is 100% classic film style. There is a 3-act structure, and it is pronounced. The 3-act structure. The fact that each act is its own thing, and I think that's my biggest gripe with this film is that these 3 acts are so separate that they could be its own movie, each individual act.
Okay.
And I think there's too much of a jump from the second act to the third act. And
Can you tell us and the listeners what these 3 acts are?
So you got the beginning, which is the introduction to E.T. and the children and everything, and the interaction of them in the school, the house, all that stuff. And then once the government finds out, that's the second act. Then it's the escape from the government. That's the third act. But that jump from the government to the escape from the government is really, really like abrupt. And I feel like there should have been more with the government involved and kind of leading up to the escape. Now, I think that was way too abrupt.
I didn't find it as separate as like something like the 2-act structure in Jaws. Like this did feel a little more coherent to me, but I definitely understand where you're coming from.
Okay. How about you guys? If you guys remember it.
I don't know why. Whenever I think of this movie, like the part that I've always not disliked it, but it's always been jarring to me is definitely the part when the government is in their house.
Yeah.
And they're doing tests on E.T. and it's like it's so tonally different from the beginning of the film.
It does, yeah. It gets real dark.
Yeah, it does. It gets real dark, and you're like, "Whoa, this changed rather abruptly."
But you see what I mean? That abrupt change. I think it does. Even you realized it, not knowing that. I was going to bring this up. It is something. It's that tonal issue that I think Spielberg was. I think that there was more to this movie, and it had to get cut. Either on the cutting floor or afterwards. And that goes back to the editing, that this is not directed. It's not edited by Michael Kahn.
But I did notice the like shot-to-shot editing. Maybe not the picture-to-picture, moment-to-moment editing, but the shot-to-shot editing was impeccable.
But that's Spielberg.
Yeah, true.
That's a testament of Spielberg and the cinematographer.
But that was something that actually I did notice on this watch, was also just how easy it is to get into the stream-like world of this movie, because it's so fluid. Which I really appreciated.
I think the biggest thing that brings you in, honestly, that lures you in, is that beginning scene where Elliot is throwing the ball into the gazebo.
But even before that, there's the 10 minutes of E.T. being lost. We get a wordless short film that drops you in there, and then immediately we go into with Elliot throwing the baseball into the shed. Like we get 2 really brilliant, again, predominantly wordless moments dropping you into this movie. set to an incredible score. It's that, yeah.
It is the score that elevates it. It's the score that elevates those scenes so much. Because, yes, granted, the cinematography and the editing on that, it is gorgeous the way that was put together. Those two sequences. But honestly, that score just takes it to a whole other level. That scene where he's throwing the ball in, and the fact that there's this little subtle score going on in the background, it's just fucking brilliant.
I think more so than any of the films that I've watched so far, the score stands alone as just a symphony.
Yeah. It is beautiful.
Like, not only does it accompany the film and help elevate the story and everything, but just on its own, it is a brilliant work of orchestra.
Mm-hmm.
I've got to give it up for the puppets.
Oh,
I love the practical effects in this movie, all the hoops that they jump through to get this accomplished. That just warms my heart. I am a sucker for practical effects and everything like that.
Same here.
So what's your favorite scene in the movie?
I mean the frog sequence is fantastic. That
is my favorite scene in the movie.
So funny and so well done. Demonstrating the connection between the two of them through that humor and everything. That's excellent. But
I love that scene.
I also just I really appreciated the interactions with the kids and everything this go around. It felt like a real family with little Drew Barrymore running around there.
I think the scene that stood out to me the most was the scene in the woods where Elliot and E.T. are actually building the radar.
Yeah.
The communicator or whatever.
Oh my god, that sequence where the music starts playing and it starts doing the little tick 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 with the. Oh my god, that was so brilliantly put together. Just the little cutaway shots of every little nuance of the gadget that they put together, and the music, the sound, everything is just. Oh, that is the epitome of why I got into filmmaking, was because of shit like that.
And
it's
another
little nuances.
Another fantastic child performance in this movie.
Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm. Also the ending when E.T.'s going away and with his people, and the soundtrack, the main theme flares up and stuff, and he's just there looking up as the spaceship is leaving. I was just like, damn. Spielberg, my man. And John Williams, you got this shit.
Right? Oh. And you could tell that this was kind of one of those projects that he had a bunch of friends. Spielberg had a bunch of friends on. Mm-hmm. There's actually credit to Zemeckis on this. That scene with the gag with the mother looking in the closet and E.T.'s hidden in the plush toys.
Yeah,
that's actually Robert Zemeckis that made that gag.
Hey, really random tidbit. So we were talking about this earlier in the show. This was actually the highest grossing movie of all time before Jurassic Park took it over.
Yes.
Wow.
And then Titanic.
Spielberg.
It is also it's the second longest theatrical run after Rocky Horror.
Wow.
How long was this in theaters for?
A year and a half.
What?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, that is insane. How long nowadays? How long is a movie in theaters if it's really, really popular?
6 months.
Yeah. I mean, Star Wars.
The Rise of Skywalker.
Rise of Skywalker is still playing at AMC near Times Square.
Well,
they have 2 showings a day, but it's still
not
on
anymore.
there.
Yeah,
not anymore.
Not anymore.
In the before times.
In the before times. BC, before Corona.
Jesus.
We have reached a new year 0.
Coined phrase here, guys.
BC
by William Phoenix over there.
But I mean, there are movies that I don't realize that they're still playing until I decide to go watch a movie. And because I have the Stubbs card,
yeah,
and I'm oh, what's playing? And then obviously the big blockbusters that are just come out are first in line, and then the more you scroll down, the less they're And there were movies, there have been movies that I've been Endgame.
Yeah,
Endgame came out in May of last year.
May of 2018. No, sorry, 2019.
2019.
What was I saying?
Right?
Yeah.
In November, there was still 2 showings of Endgame at the AMC down.
Knives Out had legs on it too. That one also was in theaters for.
But
I mean, like a year and a half. That is. But and also, granted, we're talking like an era where we didn't have, on demand. We didn't have streaming services. It was at the movies, and then it came out on VHS once VHS came out. So that could have also been another factor as to why it stayed in the movies for that long, because there was really not much other access to seeing this movie other than whatever came out after the movies. So
my other fun fact that I will drop is that they initially wanted M&Ms and they couldn't secure the rights to that, so that's why they used Reese's Pieces. Elliot uses Reese's Pieces as like a trail, and that rose Reese's Pieces stock and sales through the roof because of this movie.
M&Ms are kicking their selves in the ass for that one.
It's kind of like Blockbuster with Netflix.
Right. There's a fun fact actually with E.T.'s face, that the modeling crew actually modeled it after a poet, Carl Sandburg, which I sent you guys a photo. I'll post it up on the Man Bites Media page this week. Albert Einstein and a pug dog.
All right.
What in the OG cut of this movie are the cops holding shotguns?
Yes,
that's the
yes, they
cut,
are.
Right?
Yeah.
And then in the
post 9/11, they changed it to walkie-talkies and flashlights.
Was it post 9/11?
Yep, it was 2002.
Really?
Yep, that was why they did it.
Oh, god damn it! Really?
Why? What is that? What does ET have to do with 9/11? What?
There's a couple references to maybe it's terrorism that I caught. And so they took out anything that could trigger anything like that.
Also, I would think that using shotgun, because they knew there were kids all along, and the fact that they got like shotguns against like little kids, it's like
but that's true to the government. Let's be honest.
But the thing is that the kids are with an alien. They don't know how dangerous the alien is. That kind of shit.
You don't even need an alien. Look at Elian Gonzalez in the fucking 90s with the way that they broke in with freaking assault rifles.
Straight up, for nobody that lives in Miami, would not resonate with anybody.
Oh no, I know what you're talking about. That was because I was in college.
Yeah, there's a very famous picture of a guy with an M, like basically a fucking little submachine gun in the kid's face, and
our wonderful government.
Yeah.
So don't be surprised that the government walks around with shotguns, boys and girls.
But okay, so
and it
to
wasn't
round it out,
the socialists that did it. Damn it,
Zach. What are your final thoughts? Your rating of ET?
Oh, I'm gonna give it an 8. This is like I find it real solid. It's a real good like family film, like a true family film. Like everybody would be able to get something out of this movie, which is rare and brilliant.
Awesome.
Yeah. And again, it gave us just the best video game of all time.
What would you give this, Branden?
What would I give it? I'll give it an 8 also. Yeah. I like it a lot, but it's definitely nothing against it. I do think that I hold other Steven Spielberg films.
I get that.
But again, John Williams, who is a fucking, I don't know, man. He's like a wizard. He just comes up with the craziest shit. It's insane. It's so good. His score just elevates everything that he does to like another level, basically.
Agreed, 100%.
William, what do you give it, bud?
I'm gonna get crucified for this.
That's why you've been so quiet. You don't like ET, do you?
All right. It's not that I don't like it. I've watched it several times. I have enjoyed it, but I'm just like, I'm not taking away from any, like we've been talking about, like, or you guys have been talking, like, the practical effects, the Williams score, it was like Drew Barrymore's like first role, made her like a household name. I will not take away from any of that, and that was great. It bores me a little bit.
Okay.
And again, it was one of those movies where, like, as a kid, it kind of like the scene where they're both sick and they're like laying on the ground, and the mother finds them. It's a great scene, but it's just like it kind of traumatized me a little bit because I was like, I think that kind of opened the door to like kids can actually get sick. Like, you know, up until that time, it was just kind of like, you know, we have the sniffles or what, but like to get like that kind of sick. That's only something adults get. Like, no kid can get that sick, right? And it just, I give it, for the classic that it is, I will give it its rightful 8. On the personal value, on the personal review of where it, of like my enjoyment, I would probably give it a 5.5, 6.
Okay.
That's still not that bad.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't give it like the Covenant 4. Like, you know, like Lewis. but you know, it's like you said, it's not one of my favorite Spielberg movies, but it is enjoyable for those that enjoy it. And like, I'm not going to be like, oh dear God, here we go. I mean, it's not Cats, so
hey now, Cats.
Yo, release the cut of Cats with assholes with the buttholes.
I mean,
I want to see that.
Can they
I would pay to see that.
Snyder cut first before they release the Cats cut, the butts version?
Oh my God!
All right, what?
Lewis,
so I would give this. I would probably give this 7.5.
Right.
I would say 7.5. I think I have nostalgia value behind it. Watching this again, there is a lot to be desired, and I would say this is probably one of the weaker Spielberg films. But that's not saying much.
Yeah, I get that
because Spielberg's collection is pretty damn good. So,
yes, it is. Yes, it is. All right. So stay tuned next week when our lovely guest Zach brings us. What's the next film?
So. All right. So technically, it is he did a half-hour segment in Twilight Zone the movie, so it's going to be Twilight Zone the movie, even though he's approximately 1/4 of the director. But still, I'm counting it.
Is that streaming anywhere? Because I remember enjoying that.
I think it is.
Here, let's see.
And in case our audience wants to listen to it, so that when they tune in, they
It's on Hulu.
Cool.
Awesome. All right, so stay tuned next week when we come at you with 1/4 of the movie Twilight Zone.
Wait, so next week, are we just focusing on the section that's Spielberg section, or are we also talking about the rest of the movie?
It's just the
Spielberg I'm going to focus
section.
predominantly on the Spielberg section, but obviously we can all talk about like the thing overall, but mostly the Spielberg bit.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So
because it's
for the
Spielberg.
Thank you, Spielberg. You fucked me up on that one, but I'll let you have it. Stay tuned after this quick break. Of course, thank you, Zach, for joining us as always.
Bye for now, friends.
Stay tuned after this quick break when we come at you never live with the final segment of our show, the individual reviews.
As the songs of awakening rang through, the world was created. The silence was broken.
Middle-earth, with its rolling hills, broken mountains, flowing rivers, and beautiful forest, was created.
Cellar Door is a journey into the mythology, the mystery, and the beauty of Middle-earth. Sit back.
Close your eyes.
And imagine.
All right, guys, welcome back for the final segment of our show, the individual reviews. William is going to be going first.
I'm going to go with a tearjerker of a movie. I'm sorry to set the tone, but it was an amazing movie. It was beautifully done. Did not expect it to enjoy it as much as I did, but I really did, and I love it because it incorporates real world with fantasy world. It deals with Dungeons and Dragons, but to some level, it also deals with what paganism and pagans believe in, and love, and it deals with the loss of a parent, they looking up to your older brother, and realizing that you don't, like sometimes not having a parent, but that older person taking its place or the older sibling can be just as loving, and you just gotta, look past the wall in front of you. And I'm talking about Onward that dropped on Disney Plus this past week.
I actually saw a movie right before shit went down and they closed everything. I saw it at a drive-in theater with my girlfriend.
Nice. I haven't seen
it. I want to hear what you have to say about it.
It is very well done. I'm bringing up the list now. I'm updating my list from Return to Oz to Onward, so I get all the cast right. Obviously, like the main two characters are Spider-Man and Star-Lord, Tom Holland and Chris Pratt.
Yep.
Which do an amazing job. They play well off of each other. Like, obviously, I know that they're recorded, not always together, but like, given that specific fact and how then you watch the movie and you see how well they just play off each other and literally they sound like siblings, whether they're happy, whether they're mad at each other, whether they're crying together, whether they're having a moment. It's beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful. It's, the Chris Pratt is the outcast. And, he's like the one that, the older brother that doesn't see his true potential, but he sees it in his brother and vice versa. And I believe Julia Louis-Dreyfus plays the mom. You know what? I'm going to bring up IMDb because that actually gives me who plays what, because I don't want to get this wrong. Who? I've been practicing because we have like a bunch of owls in our backyard where I'm staying at. So,
who are you?
Who are you?
So by the sounds of it, you really like this movie, and I didn't think it was bad, but there was something about it that I just didn't connect with me.
Yeah. So Julia Louis-Dreyfus plays the mom. Octavia Spencer plays the Manticore. There's like a whole... Ali Wong plays one of the officers. She's like a stand-up comedian. Tracy Ullman is in this movie. Wilmer Valderrama of
I didn't even know
that 70s show. I guess he's got like a really small part, but like he's still, and it's great because, it talks about time of old where magic was rampant before we got lazy and invented electricity, for example. They were like, they drew spells to make fire, and now you flip a switch and you get the light. And that's why magic is no longer mainstream, and people believe that magic is not real and whatnot, whereas a few generations ago or 100 years ago, it's like, no, we do have it.
That's awesome. That sounds very... Yeah, you actually sold me on watching it.
This movie. There's no songs in it, so it's not like your Disney, break every few minutes for a song. The pacing is really good. The cinematography, but like everything, the CGI made all around this world is beautifully done. There's great representation, if you want to put it, whether you like centaurs, minotaurs, fairies, dragons, mermaids.
William, my favorite character is the little fairies. I'm not going to say much more about them.
Oh my god,
it's funny.
Fairies.
They're funny. I didn't particularly. There was something about the movie, man. I just didn't. It wasn't bad. It just did not connect with me, man. I don't know what it was. I maybe have to rewatch it, but
it's also a drive-in. Drive-ins are hard to watch, like animated movies and stuff like that.
You think?
I would say drive-ins are more for horror or action.
Okay.
I wouldn't put animated as one of those movies to watch. There's certain movies that you could get away with lower quality. Animation is not one of them.
Gotcha.
So I mean, give it another. It's on Disney Plus, which I believe you have, because you've seen like all the Star Wars and stuff, right? So
me or
you.
I have it.
If you want, give it another shot and let us know next episode or in a future episode if you changed your mind or if you enjoyed it a little bit more. And then we'll see if, maybe it is drive-in. Maybe it was maybe you were in the mood for it. But I don't know if, your significant other, if Carla has seen it. Watch it with her, see what she thinks.
She has, yeah. We watched it together. We originally went there to see The Invisible Man, but I forgot for what reason we decided on Onward. But yeah.
Because Invisible Man was good. Man?
No, she wanted to see both, but then she was like, "Oh, I want to see Onward more."
No,
and I was
it was
like,
a pun because it's Invisible Man and you can't see the Invisible Man.
Oy.
I gotta rent The Invisible Man. I know it's on demand now. So,
I give it a good 9.5 out of 10. I thought it was really, really good. Yeah, it was beautifully done, and I have yet to see any negative reviews about this from either critics or friends alike. And you always have like that one or two friends that are like, whatever, I didn't like it. And it was, it's like, it deals, Disney is famous for having protagonists that do not have both set of parents.
Yeah, what is that shit?
Always address it. Here, not only do they address it, and the whole thing is based on trying to spend, and this is not a spoiler because it's in the trailers, it's trying to spend one more day learning this magical spell to be able to spend one more day with the father that they lost. Yeah. And they even say that he died because of health issues. It wasn't like, he disappeared or he died in an accident. No, it was like his health deteriorated, and they talk about it, and they put it in the forefront so that there's kids out there they can identify with these two characters, and that's not something that's easy to do, but they do. It's kind of like when Inside Out came out, where they're like, they finally have a movie where they address feelings and that it's okay to have different feelings when feelings take over. This is about, tell me how you feel about the fact that you don't have your dad or you don't have your mom and, your older siblings, that you don't always get along, and that's okay. But at the end of the day, they'll be there for you, and they will love you, and they will care for you, and you'll see that they take kind of like fill those shoes in. And also they address the mom's relationship with the new boyfriend, which just happens to be a cop, which, I mean, he does a great job as well. He's really good. So yeah, if you haven't seen it, absolutely watch it. It is a family movie. Sit down on a Friday night, Saturday night, or if none of you are working, middle of the day, it's a great movie. And as always, thank you for anybody that is still out there that's an essential, that's working and helping everybody. I try to address it and thank as many times as I possibly can, including, from the custodials all the way up to everybody that's running it. Thank you very much. Branden, I think you are next. What you got for us?
So I randomly watched this movie again with the girlfriend the other night because we are literally not leaving our house.
Please not cats. Please not cats. Please
no. This is streaming on Netflix. And I had seen this movie before, and I've read the book, but it had been a very long time. And I was like, let's watch it. And she agreed, so we watched it. And this movie is The Perks of Being a Wallflower.
Oh.
I don't know if either of you have seen it.
I've seen it.
You've seen it, okay.
Yeah, no, I've seen it too.
Okay, cool.
Been a while.
So, The Perks of Being a Wallflower is basically about what's the character's name? Charlie, played by Logan Lerman. He's basically going into high school. It's his 9th grade, and he has just come out of the hospital for what you assume is he tried to harm himself and whatnot. And he doesn't have many friends. And he meets two characters. One of them is played by Ezra Miller, and the other one is played by Emma Watson. They are stepbrother and sister, and they basically are seniors, and they bring Charlie in. And yeah, man, it's been a while, but this movie hits home for me. I feel like it's not patronizing. It does it in a good way of like dealing with mental issues, with finding out who you are, dealing with your sexuality in high school, which anyone that's listening, you've been in high school or I hope you have, and you know how cruel kids can be. And it hit home, man. You know, I suffer from some mental issues, you know, like depression and anxiety and stuff. So like you look at a person like Charlie and everything that he goes through, wanting to be accepted and whatnot, and just it really resonated with me. And I was like, damn, I felt like that at one point in my life. I don't know, I really like this movie, and there's some cool scenes, like the scene when they're driving through the tunnel and they do the tunnel song, which is Heroes by David Bowie, and they both stand on the bed of the truck and they feel infinite, which I don't know.
I thought the song choice was very well done, and it was very well placed as well. I was not like when the song first came out, because you have to remember I'm not completely well versed in American folklore music or history music. I first heard Heroes, which was oh my god, what was the name of the band? It was what's his name, son, that had the band, and oh my god,
band? I don't know.
Hold on one second. Heroes song.
So, Lewis, what did you think of The Perks of Being a Wallflower?
Honestly, I don't remember it that much.
Mm-hmm.
I just remember it being. It was, for me, it was one of those movies that it kind of fell into the same aspect of like Nick and Nora's Playlist, Eternal Sunshine. You know, those very edgy movies that I could appreciate the message on what they're trying to do, but it wasn't. I don't feel like I connected with it that much.
I don't know, man.
It's also, I don't think I was in the right mindset because it was post-divorce. So it was not one of those movies. It's one of those movies I definitely need to revisit because I was not in the right mindset to enjoy a movie like that.
I don't know, man. Like I felt the same way. Like it didn't resonate with me the first time. Like I read the book and I enjoyed the book, but I think I watched the movie and I was like, it is what it is. But now, after kind of accepting who I am and accepting that, you know, I suffer from mental like health issues.
Yeah.
It like, I'm like, damn, dude, I feel you, Charlie. Like, you know, every kid wants to be accepted and know who they are. And you know, and other characters, like, not that I've struggled with my sexuality, but like Ezra Miller's character, that he is having this like secret relationship with a jock in the school, and basically they love each other, but the jock is afraid to tell his dad that he's gay.
Yeah.
And it's just shit like that. Like,
it's definitely a movie that I could see it resonating with a certain audience. And I do think that there's certain people that need to watch this movie to kind of, they need to find a movie that they could identify with. And there's a lot of movies that are kind of pandering and stuff like that. And I don't feel like this movie does that.
No, it doesn't.
This movie does it with respect. It does it with real personas. So I'll definitely give it that. I don't feel like I could give it a proper rating.
Yeah.
I'll probably go back and watch it this week, and then I'll next time we record, I'll give it a proper rating for you. But yeah.
I feel like everybody does a really good job, but in the movie, specifically the three main characters. But yeah, William, what were you going to say?
No, ironically, what I was thinking, the lead singer was Jakob Dylan, son of Bob Dylan.
Oh, okay.
And he covered it, and his band name was the Wallflowers. That's why that popped into my head. I'm like, that was a good song. They used the David Bowie version.
Yeah.
But that's where I'm like, that's somehow this is connected.
Yeah,
it's been a while since I've seen it, but like you guys pretty much covered like a lot of the good points of the movie, and I'm not gonna like be repetitive, but it's definitely one of those like that. If you feel like you are alone, watch this movie because
you're never alone. By the way,
never alone.
You're never alone.
No,
and I think
never.
William covered this on Monday's episode that he did on Instagram Live, and you have to understand, there's always somebody out there. There's always a fandom that you could talk to. There's always people that you could talk to. And if you ever feel like a need to talk to anybody, reach out to any of us. Any of the three of us, we will be more than happy to talk with you. And I don't know how many people we've met at cons randomly, and just they've become like close friends of ours. You know?
Yeah. No.
I mean,
I'm not laughing at you. Just like there was like the Magic from Home Con this past weekend, and I ran one of the panels on After Hours on Saturday night. And one of the points that we brought up, because a lot of people were like, "Oh, we've never been to cons. We've never I don't know where to start." I'm like, find out what con I'm going to and come join my group, because last year, me and you, Lewis, walked into it, and it was just me and you, two people. And within 2 hours,
it snowballed into like 20 people.
Yeah, we were like almost 20 people strong, just walking around. And people were leaving and coming back and bringing friends. And there were random people. I had no idea who they were. And then we had other people showing up by themselves who didn't want to be by themselves. We come, they told me, and come join us and have fun.
I met William at a con.
I know that if it wasn't for conventions, we wouldn't be doing this podcast the way we are. Because if it wasn't for William and I meeting, like, we wouldn't have gone to podcast format, because the reason we did podcast formatting was because William moved to New York. So we got out of YouTube because of that. So, I mean, honestly, like, this sparked this whole snowball effect that turned into a huge thing. And honestly, conventions are one of the most glorious things that I've been introduced to as an adult. I just, the community sense of it, and also, like William was talking about on his little Instagram videos that he does that are really good, by the way. So if you haven't checked it out, please check them out on Instagram, House of Phoenix Cosplay.
Every day at 12.
Every day at 12. But honestly, he was talking about like this sense of community that even like the Harry Potter, as much as I joke about the Harry Potter community, like, it is one of the most accepting, and honestly, like, I feel so privileged to be part of that community. And that's one of the many reasons that I gave it another shot and actually watched it again. As much as we joke and all that stuff, it is a joke, and it is a skit that we play. You know, it's all fun and games.
So I give the movie I give it a 9. It really resonated with me this time.
Nice.
So yeah, man.
Nice.
Lewis.
So the movie that I want to talk about is actually a Noah Baumbach film, and it's about a middle-aged couple that their career and marriage are kind of, in the middle of like that middle-age point where somebody's been in a relationship for 5-7 years, that you have that comfort level and you kind of hit that stride where there is no surprises, there is no bouncing moments that you're like, oh my God, that's amazing, let's do this, let's do that. They kind of get into that mundane task of their adulthood, and all their friends and families are getting married with kids, and they don't want to have kids. This actually stars Ben Stiller and Naomi Watts, and then co-stars with Adam Driver and Amanda Seyfried. Siegfried? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and basically the whole story is that this couple, Ben Stiller and Naomi Watts, characters Josh and Cornelia, meet Jamie and Darby, which is played by Adam Driver and Amanda Seyfried. And basically, Adam Driver's character and Amanda's character are both like these kind of free spirit, younger. They're about a decade and a half younger than the Ben Stiller and Naomi Watts character. So it has that fresh aspect. They're a very like kind of blasé couple that they kind of go with the wind type of shit. And it's a Noah Baumbach film. I mean, at this point, you guys know what we feel about Noah Baumbach and how the characters are. It is pretty much an extension of that universe. Between Squid and the Whale, between Marriage Story, this is just that same type of characteristic. The Ben Stiller character is actually a documentarian, and he's kind of gotten to that point where all he's doing is teaching, but Adam Driver is trying to break into being a documentarian. And the whole story is about them two kind of coming together, melding minds, basically, to come up with a good story. And Ben Stiller basically takes on like a kind of a teacher role to Adam Driver and kind of helps him and becomes his protege, basically. But Adam Driver turns out to be a lot better at it. than Ben Stiller's character. At least the story portrays it like that. And it's just a very interesting character dynamic story. And if you like the Noah and Bob Bach movies that we've brought up in the past, this is another extension of that. So I definitely recommend this. If you enjoyed those, it is just an extension of that with little film quirks and stuff like that, because it is based on these people that are documentarians. And I really personally connected with this film a lot. And then at the very end, I realized that it was directed by Noah Baumbach, and I'm like, God damn it. I didn't even know that it was directed by Noah Baumbach. I did not go into it knowing. And I was like, dude, this feels really like I got connected with it. I got stuck with it and all that stuff. And I really, really appreciated it. I give this an 8 out of 10. It's streaming on Netflix currently, so it's easy access for everybody. And it's my turn to pick movies this week, but we are going to be running into our 100th episode, and we are going to have 2 special guests after that for the next 2 episodes. So just to give you guys a heads up, we are going to be doing 2 picks by the guest. And the first one is The Nightingale, that this is going to be Anderson Cowan from the Film Vault, After Disaster, and Cinematics group. So if you guys love Anderson Cowan, please stay tuned for that episode. And then the next one is Greg Srivastava, that he is bringing us a personal favorite of mine. I really, really enjoyed this movie, and I asked him if we could watch The Bonfire of the Vanities. And this is a Brian De Palma film, so if you know anything about Greg Srivastava, he is a huge Brian De Palma fan, so I figured this was up his wheelhouse. This one is streaming on Vudu currently, so it's kind of one of those weird ones. So until after all those things are done, we will actually announce the next pick that we'll do. But until then, stay tuned for all that stuff, because we're going to be putting out a lot of cool content for those next 3 weeks.
Awesome.
So
and of course,
up, Brandon.
And of course, if you enjoyed our show, visit us at manbitesfilm.com, our sister site, diverselygeek.org, and our brother from another mother, John, over at YouTube at Narcotic Casserole. Thank you, Lewis.
Thank you, Brandon.
Thank you, William.
Thank you, my dear sir.
I'm Brandon, and we'll see you guys in the next episode of Man Bites Film. Cue the drums.
Da, 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 da.